bring Coatesy into the conversation and get his take on this team early on, Coatesy, as you had 11 goals scored between these two teams a week ago and only had one last night. What'd you do? No Tootsies, right?
It probably had a different effect on it. Yes, Michael, I truly believe. No. Nashville should never lose a home game.
What's it, Vegas down there? What's Nashville, Vegas?
Nashville, I'm going to tell you right now, for everybody that has not been in Nashville, they have to put it on their bucket list. It's just a real nice, it's a great time. If you can't have a good time there, you have a social problem.
Is that the Flyers scored 5. There was 11 goals in Nashville. There's only 1. You would think the social problem was in Philly.
It's a total different type of game. I mean, the games have been wild and woolly ever since they've taken the use of the stick. They've really cut down. It takes away the ability for the players now to do a better job defending. So all the games we've seen, and even last night was the same thing, where it was like up, down, not a lot of checking, a lot of these. But I think when it got down to it, the longer we went last night, the Flyers, without scoring a goal, the advantage goes to the visiting because they're feeling a little bit better about themselves. They came out, the Flyers need to come out a little bit better in the third period, and Nashville kind of carried the play. But the opportunities that the Flyers had on Pekka Rinne, he was just spectacular. I mean, he really did. He was first star, and that's twice now. The Flyers, twice that they've been shut out this year. Rinne last night and Jonathan Quick in Los Angeles.
I have an interesting question that I want to get your take on, because that team went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, but they were the 8th seed. So entering this year, I don't know what to think of them. Do I think that they are the best team in the East, or do I think that they were a good team last year that got hot?
I would say it's the latter. I'll tell you what, though. Goaltending-wise, and their 4 top defensemen are really, really good. If you watched last night, our ability to be able to get the puck inside on them in front of Rainier, there was no second opportunities. They just take it completely away. When we had that power play late, we just couldn't get anything inside. So I give them a lot of credit for that. Do I think that they have the scoring to say they're one of the they're among the elite, but they're not over the top when it comes to their offense. They've got one really good line, and after that, they're all right. But it really doesn't matter how you do it. If you have to do it with a goaltending and 4 defense,
right,
it works. And it certainly worked against us.
Well, last night, Flyers only give up 1, and Neuvirth's played pretty well. But how about the defense in front of him? What do you think in the early going about the Flyers' defense in front of the 2 goaltenders, Elliott and Neuvirth?
It's kind of exciting when you think about it, because Gostisbehere's back playing spectacularly. I mean, Poverov, McDonald, as good as they've been. And when you add Robert Haig, who is just really, really solid, just does a great job back there. And, the pleasant surprise, we talked about Moran and Sanheim. But special. If you watch him play, and he's still in his infancy, I mean, just a kid, but he jarts up on the play. He wants to play offense. He had some good numbers last year with the Phantoms. If that plays out the way I think the coaching staff and management thinks, he could be like a huge, huge part of this hockey club if he comes on the way he's looking at right now. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better every game.
Steve Coates is joining us here, looking at the Flyers tomorrow, 1 o'clock against Edmonton. They've struggled a little bit. We know that team, though, can put some pucks in the net, as they say there, Coatesy.
Yeah, they can put the pucks in the net. Got good goaltending in Talbot. They've struggled for years. They kept getting number 1 picks, and they picked the same type forwards for years. And they've kind of slowly traded them away to other teams, especially out here in the East. And when you take a look at them, obviously Connor McDavid is the story. I mean, last year he just had a spectacular year, and right now they're struggling because I think it doesn't, they got a guy named Draisaitl who just signed a new contract. He was another number 1 pick of theirs, and he's hurt right now, and that's going to hurt them because he's a big part of their offense. But Connor McDavid is somebody special and a lot of fun to watch.
Real quick, if this team's 4-3, but they went on the road. They played pretty well. They've been exciting. They scored a lot. What has stood out to you in the early going that you think has legs to continue to be something that surprised you, but you think is surprisingly going to still continue as this season goes on?
I got to be very honest with you. I didn't think Couturier in the middle between Giroux and Voracek was going to work. I truly did not. I mean, did I think it'd be okay? But
wasn't he a guy who scored a lot before he got to this level?
Yeah, he was a big-time junior scorer. No two ways about it. And he was kind of upset because they kind of moved him into that third-line position, which is a checking line position where he was, fighting all the or taking all the top lines on in the National Hockey League, and he did a great job with it. And he kind of said, hold on for a second. Why did he categorize me as a defensive guy where I was a scorer? So now, last year, if you remember, they put him up on the second line. That didn't really work, so they moved him back to the third line. So why all of a sudden would you think moving into the first line would work? And it has. I mean, Giroux moving to the wing allows the Flyers to use people. They're basically just they're centers. Couturier's a center.
Yeah.
Fipple is a center. Nolan Patrick's a center. And Lawton's a center. We tried him at a wing. It didn't work. So you've allowed four guys that really don't have another ability to be able to play other positions other than center. Having Giroux move to the wing opened it all up. So now you're playing your best people with Giroux going to the wing and working it out. So, and especially with you got both Giroux and Voracek playing the off wing. And I'm now convinced that the game allows that. The way the game is played now, you can play the off wing and be competitive and successful. We watched Voracek do it for years, and now Giroux's learning how to do the same thing on the other side, and Couturier's worked out to be a real nice fit for there. So I would say that's the number one surprise. Number two is that you have four outstanding lines. Really, you have four good lines. And with the addition of Lawton and Taylor Lear on the fourth line, you got a line that, and it's not taking anything away from Belmar last year or Vandeville last year. Weiss is a holdover from that line. That you have a circumstance now with Raffle, Lawton, and Lear that they have an offensive upside. I mean, they can fly. So that's been a big plus for this hockey club also. So with the additions of the young kids and the four lines rotating, I mean, yeah, they had a tough night last night, but it's a lot of fun watching. They're a very entertaining hockey club.
They have been fun. Steve Coates tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Flyers, Oilers. I always enjoy this conversation that we get to have weekly. Michael,
as always, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week.
It was a lot more fun without Thompson, wasn't it?
Oh, my God, yeah. And don't tell him we talked about him behind his back.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, take care, Michael.